The Great Seal of the United States is an iconic symbol that holds significant historical and cultural value, but there have been many misconceptions and theories surrounding its origins and its symbolism. And of course, there are plenty of conspiracies and theories that surround Freemasonry. So let's talk about the truth. Welcome to the Scottish Rite Freemasonry channel. I'm your host, Maynard Edwards, 32nd degree KCCH, Scottish Rite Freemason. Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button right there, give us a thumbs up, and share the video with a friend. Also, leave us a comment below, especially if you're a Freemason. Don't forget to check out the Lost Media Archive. For less than $2 a month, you can support our effort to preserve Masonic history in the form of 20th century media, including film, reel-to-reel tapes, VHS tapes, CDs, records, and a whole lot more. We're going to give you access to it as we digitize it, and you're helping preserve history. Check out the link above or in the description below. The Great Seal of the United States is the official emblem of the United States, consisting of a bald eagle clutching a shield, holding an olive branch and arrows, with a banner displaying the motto, E pluribus unum, which is Latin for out of many, one. On the reverse of the Great Seal of the United States, there's an unfinished pyramid with an eye in a radiant triangle, accompanied by the Latin phrase annuit coeptis, which means He, God, has favored our undertakings, and there is the motto, Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Age. Now, the front of the Great Seal is commonly used. It's used on official documents, including treaties, proclamations, commissions, important government papers. It's on your passport, it's on military insignias, and it's also displayed on various government buildings and monuments, and it's used for official seals at the federal and state level. The reverse of the Great Seal, however, is just not commonly used. For many decades, it wasn't seen at all by the public. However, now it is prominently displayed in one spot. You see, kids, back before we used Venmo to pay for everything, we used these dirty green pieces of paper called cash or dollars, and they came in different amounts. The $1 bill had the Great Seal and the reverse of the Great Seal on it. And so most people are pretty familiar with both sides of this, even if they don't know that that's what they're looking at. Now, one of the common misconceptions is the belief that the Great Seal is somehow a Masonic emblem or contains hidden Masonic symbols, but that just simply is not true. Right up front, let's admit that the all-seeing eye is now a Masonic symbol, but it's not exclusively a Masonic symbol. The all-seeing eye of Providence came into use by Freemasons sometime in the late 18th century, which was about the time the seal was being made. But the all-seeing eye can be found in ancient Egypt, in Hinduism, and in Christian iconography. It represents the watchful eye of God over humanity. Now, it's most likely from these Christian traditions that Freemasonry borrowed the symbol. And again, it didn't come into widespread use into Freemasonry until the end of the 1700s. However, the eye combined with the pyramid, as seen on the reverse of the Great Seal, has no official Masonic meaning. Pyramids are not a Masonic symbol, so really, there's no real Masonic connection there. So to understand the symbolism of the Great Seal itself and really unpack the whole thing, we need to go back to its creation, and it emerged from 3 separate congressional committees. The first committee was formed in 1776, and it was Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, and they had an artist to help them out. His name was Pierre du Cimetière. Pierre du Cimetière. Pierre du Cimetière, an artist and consultant who contributed his expertise to the design process. Now, each member of the committee proposed an allegorical design. In other words, they said, this is what I'd like to see. And it was Pierre's job to kind of draw it up. Franklin suggested the depiction of Moses at the Red Sea. Jefferson envisioned Israel being led through the wilderness, and Adams proposed the choice of Hercules between virtue and sloth. But Pierre du Cimetière, a non-Mason, played a crucial role in the design. He contributed the shield and the Latin phrase E pluribus unum. He also was the one who decided to use the Eye of Providence in the radiant triangle. All of those things made their way into the final design. Now, the suggestions of that first committee, they were dismissed. So in 1780, a second committee was formed, and those were declined by Congress as well. They just didn't like the designs. However, a guy named Francis Hopkinson was the consultant to the second committee, and he left a lasting impact on the seal's design. Hopkinson had previously designed some currency, and he designed a 1778 colonial note, this is a $50 bill, that featured an unfinished pyramid. He also was the one who decided to use white and red stripes on a blue background, and it had a radiant constellation of stars and an olive branch. All of these things did make it into the final design. But again, none of the symbols that he used in his design were in any way Masonic, even the unfinished pyramid, which is the one that people think has some kind of Masonic connection. Finally, in 1782, a third committee produced a design that satisfied Congress. Charles Thompson, Secretary of Congress, and William Barton, an artist and consultant, borrowed elements from the earlier designs and sketched out what would become the Great Seal of the United States. And they went so far as to provide an actual explanation of each of the symbols. They titled the document Remarks and Explanations of the Great Seal, and they provided it to Congress, and it remains the only official explanation of the symbols. And here it is. The shield is composed of 13 stripes that represent the several states joined into one solid compact, supporting the top section or chief, which unites the whole and represents the Congress. The stripes are kept closely united by the chief, and the chief depends upon the union and the strength resulting from it. The motto, E pluribus unum, alludes to this union. The shield is borne on the breast of an American eagle without any other supporters, to denote that the United States of America ought to rely on their own virtues. The olive branch and arrows denote the power of peace and war, which is exclusively vested in Congress. The constellation of 13 stars denotes a new state taking its place among other sovereign powers. The pyramid on the reverse side signifies strength and duration. The eye over it and the motto Annuit Coeptus alludes to the many signal interpositions of Providence in favor of the American cause. The date, 1776 underneath, is that of the Declaration of Independence, and the words Novus Ordo Seclorum under it signify the beginning of a new American era, which commences from that date. So, there's no mention of anything even remotely Masonic in that whole explanation. And of the several dozen men who worked on the Great Seal, only one was a Freemason. So there are lots of theories about hidden meanings and anagrams and all those other kinds of things, but there just is simply no proof of any of it. It's all just kind of made up either for fun or to mess with people who are willing to believe silly conspiracy theories. In full disclosure, however, there is one more connection between the Great Seal and Freemasonry that we shouldn't overlook. You see, after 1782, the reverse of the Great Seal was never really used, and it was mostly forgotten. However, in 1934, then Secretary of Agriculture and future Vice President Henry A. Wallace found a book on the history of the Great Seal. He saw it on a coffee table while he was waiting for an appointment. He picked it up and flipped through it and saw the reverse of the Great Seal for the very first time. And he was fascinated. So he took this to President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he suggested that a coin be made using the reverse of the Great Seal, since it had never been used. But Roosevelt instead ordered that both sides of the seal be used on a new dollar bill. And that's what happened. Both Henry Wallace and Franklin D. Roosevelt were in fact Scottish Rite Freemasons, and they would have almost certainly recognized that all-seeing eye, or the Eye of Providence, as a Masonic symbol. Did they decide to use it on the back of the dollar bill because it was a Masonic symbol? Or did they decide to use it just because it had never really been used and they thought it was a neat emblem to include on the new dollar bill? There's no real way we will ever know. But we can say with some certainty that it's very thin evidence that connects the Masonic fraternity to the Great Seal. None of the symbols on the front of the Great Seal are really Masonic, and only one symbol on the reverse of the Great Seal, which wasn't used all that much, can be considered Masonic. And that all-seeing eye, that one Masonic symbol on the back, isn't even really a Masonic symbol. It belongs to dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of cultures throughout the world. It's been around for thousands of years. So you can't really claim that as a Masonic symbol. Did FDR and Henry Wallace decide to slap it on the back of the dollar bill because they thought it was a Masonic symbol? Maybe, but they may have done that just because they could, not because it alluded to some grand conspiracy involving the Great Seal and American currency. But I'd love to know what you think about this. Drop your comments below and let us know whether or not you think Henry Wallace and FDR decided to use that symbol because it was Masonic, or give me your best Masonic dollar bill conspiracy theory. I would love to hear it because I'm pretty sure I've heard them all and I think they're all equally ridiculous. But it's been a lot of fun to talk about. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share it with a friend. And of course, we do want your comments below. Freemasons, especially you guys, again, don't forget, check out our Lost Media Archive, and we will catch you next time. I'm Maynard Edwards, 32nd degree, KCCH, Scottish Rite Freemason. Thanks for joining us.